52 games in college football last week, split right down the middle. 25 favorites covered, 25 underdogs covered, and we had 2 pushes for good measure. Now, of those 25 underdogs, 13 of them won outright. 3 weeks of play this season. The underdogs, a slight advantage, 70 wins, 66 losses, 2 pushes in Vegas. 32 of those 70 underdogs have won outright. Now, how about double-digit favorites? Well, historically, money in the bank in the season's opening weeks. Not the case this year, however. Just 3 games over 500, 40, 37-2 against the spread, 11 of them losing outright. 3 more victims last weekend. Southern Cal, outright loss at Washington. Baylor, a 10.5-point home favorite, losing to a Connecticut team that was playing with its backup quarterback, and Purdue losing as well. Hi guys, Al DeMarco here, General Manager and Lead Handicapper for the world's largest online sports handicapping community, PickNation.com. Every single weekend this fall, I'll be right here giving you free college and pro football winners. Today I've got free picks coming up on Buffalo Temple and Virginia Tech Miami of Florida, plus exciting details on how you can win a free VIP weekend getaway at my favorite Las Vegas casino, the Golden Nugget. But first, I wanted to talk a little gambling strategy with you. 2 of the most important angles to consider when it comes to handicapping college football, the look ahead and the letdown factors. Let's look at some of today's examples. Now, these are teams that could be caught looking ahead. Michigan, of course, today hosting Indiana, their 4th straight home game, but next week at Michigan State, their big in-state rival. Wolverines in revenge, lost by 2 touchdowns at home last year to the Spartans. But the good news, though, they're 30-1 straight up against Indiana, and they've won the last 5 games in this series by an average of 30 points a game. How about Auburn? Last week, big 4th quarter rally to get the win and cover at home against West Virginia. They're off to a 3-0 start. They should beat the heck out of Ball State, but are you willing to lay all the points with them, considering they have a big SEC showdown with Tennessee on the road next week, and you've got a double whammy with Auburn? Not only are they coming off the win against West Virginia, but they're 0-5 against the spread the last 5 times in the game prior to their meeting with the Volunteers. Next up is Navy. Now, how focused are the midshipmen going to be today playing Western Kentucky, a pushover team, the Hilltoppers are, when they've got a big game with Air Force on tap next Saturday? And finally, LSU is on the road against Mississippi State. Now, that's an SEC game, but no doubt LSU has got an eye cast forward to their game between the hedges at Georgia next weekend, because that's a big revenge game for the Tigers, who lost 52-38 at home to Georgia last season. By the way, even though LSU has won 16 of its last 17 straight up against Mississippi State, keep this in mind. They're in a 9-17 ATS slump as a road favorite, and LSU, last 8 times they've been favored by double digits, they have failed to cover on all 8 occasions. Let's take a look at the letdown teams. Tennessee, coming off that big loss at Florida in which they played their hearts out. They're home against Ohio. The good news for Volunteer fans, they have covered 5 straight games in the game following their big battle with the Gators. Now, Florida at Kentucky. Interesting stat here. The Gators are 0-7 against the spread the last 7 games they played after facing Tennessee. They are 3-7-1 ATS in the game prior to playing LSU. Middle Tennessee State at North Texas. Well, Middle Tennessee State for the 2nd straight year upset Maryland, this time winning in College Park last week. North Texas, okay, a decent game, but their big game from Middle Tennessee State, a big conference game with Troy State coming up next weekend. And finally, Washington. You upset USC? Well, you can't tell me that Washington is going to be nearly as focused for today's game against Stanford. Now, let's get to today's first free pick. It's the Mid-American Conference Clash, Buffalo at Temple. Big revenge game for the Temple Owls, last year losing on the final play of the game, 30-28 on a 35-yard TD pass by Buffalo. You know, Buffalo has owned this series. They have won 12 out of 13 meetings. The only loss way back in 1970. As for Temple, they blew a big 4th quarter lead at home in their opener against Division I AA Villanova. But Villanova is a darn good Division I AA school, guys, I can tell you that. Then last week they lost to Penn State 31-6, but really, you know, they played a respectable game. They held the Penn State Nittany Lions to 359 total yards on the road in that contest. Now, the problem here with Buffalo is they can't stop anybody on the ground. Buffalo has given up 130 yards more 130-plus yards or more rushing to their opponents in all 3 games this season, including 170 to Central Florida last week. Now, that was a game that Buffalo was up 17-7 at halftime, then 4 turnovers in the second half. They lost that game 23-17. Now, you'll say Temple doesn't really run the ball well. They're only averaging 92.5 yards a game. But I say this to you, Central Florida was only averaging 70 yards a game on the ground before taking on Buffalo. This Buffalo defense gives up 172 yards on the ground per game. The Owls, a couple of technical trends backing them. First of all, they've won 6 of their last 7 games at home in MAC play straight up, and they've covered 7 of their last 9 at home as well. Buffalo, 3rd road game in 4 weeks. I say in this game, you don't lay more than 3 points, so you buy down the half point. If you've got 3, you buy down to 2.5. If you've got 3.5, if you're unfortunate enough to get 3.5, you buy down to 3. Now, before I get to my second free pick, let's talk about Las Vegas, my favorite casino and gambling spot, the Golden Nugget, and how you can win a free VIP weekend. Here's the deal, guys. Every 30 days, we're giving away a free VIP weekend to one lucky winner who enters his email address or her email address at picknation.com. Here's what you're going to get. The winner's going to get a high roller suite, VIP check-in, airport limo service to and from the Golden Nugget downtown, and VIP seating. The Gordy Brown's incredible show at the Nugget. I'm telling you, Gordy Brown's show, you've got to catch it when you're in Vegas. But best of all, this is all going to be free to one lucky winner every 30 days. Now, guys, no purchase is necessary. You just go to picknation.com, click on the VIP Weekend Getaway link at the top of the page, enter your email address. It's that easy. No purchase necessary. This is your shot to be a high roller in Vegas. Get the full VIP treatment for free, courtesy of picknation.com and the Golden Nugget, so make sure you enter now. And remember, no purchase necessary. Now let's get back to my final free pick on Miami of Florida and Virginia Tech. Miami of Florida, 2-0 start, beating Florida State, beating Georgia Tech, held those 2 teams, excellent offensive teams that both can run the ball, to just 3.0 yards per carry rushing in those 2 games. Extra advantage for Miami of Florida. They've had 2 additional days of prep time since they beat Georgia Tech in that Thursday night game a week and a half ago. Now, Miami of Florida won last year 16-14 at home, didn't cover the 4-point spread, but they did win that game outright. Virginia Tech, of course, last Saturday, final 21 seconds of the game, they got a touchdown to nip Nebraska 16-15. They also failed to cover against the Hornhuskers. You know, in that game against Nebraska, Virginia Tech only had 278 total yards, 86 of them on the ground. In their opening game against Alabama, they only had 216 total yards, only 75 of those on the ground. Meanwhile, Nebraska and Alabama, their offenses, they ran for 475 total yards against that supposedly good Virginia Tech defense. Now, Tech is on a 7-1 ATS series run, but here's the problem I have in this game. Tyrod Taylor, the quarterback for Virginia Tech, he's only completed 48% of his passes. On the other hand, Miami of Florida's quarterback, Ja'Cory Harris, 386 yards and 2 touchdown passes against Florida State. Last week against Georgia Tech, 20 of 25, 270 yards, 3 more touchdowns. I say in this one, you don't lay more than 3. You buy down the half point if you have to. And guys, as I always tell you with these free picks, and today's free picks, of course, Miami of Florida and Temple, they're good selections, but they're not my strongest selections of the day. That would be my 2009 college football revenge game of the year, a play I'm backing here, a home team that's seeking big-time playback. It's a must-win game for this team as well. This team got blown out on the road last year, but the game was much closer than the final score indicated. Turnovers killed them last season in the 4th quarter. This year, they get revenge. College Revenge Game of the Year available now at picknation.com. If you're playing one game today, guys, I'm telling you, this is that game. Good luck today. I'll catch you again right here tomorrow with my NFL free picks.